the Hindu Current Affairs for Beginners. Let's start our today's session. Our first article is India Gets Surveillance Satellite. This article comes under GS Paper 3 under the topic of Science and Technology. The Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle C-45 in its 47th mission has successfully launched EMISAT from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. The topics that were important from the prelims point of view from this article is we should know what is this EMISAT and what are the special features of this launch. First, let us look about this EMISAT. It is an advanced electronic intelligence satellite that is jointly developed by ISRO and DRDO. And this satellite is intended for electromagnetic spectrum measurement. And this is the first of its kind in India. It is launched by PSLV C-45 and it is released into an orbit at 749 kilometers. And this EMISAT stands for this electromagnetic satellite. If we look into some of the special features of this launch, first time ISRO has placed the satellites and payloads in 3 different orbits. This is for the first time. ISRO used a multiple burn technology where the engine can shut down and restart multiple times within a short period of time, so that it will allow the rocket to change its course to the next orbit with payloads. And a new variant of rocket, that is PSLV QL, was used first time with 4 strap-on boosters. And it is also for the first time ISRO has invited common people to view this launch. And in this PSLV C-45 mission, the last stage of the rocket, PS4, will be used as orbital platform for satellite. And it will host 3 payloads. The first one is automatic identification system that is developed by ISRO. And this is used for maritime applications. And an automatic packet repeating system, which is developed by AMSAT, Radio Amateur Satellite Corporation, in order to assist the amateur radio operator, and an advanced retarding potential analyzer for the ionosphere studies. And this is made by Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology for atmospheric studies. The next article is April-May to be warmer than normal, says IMD. This article comes under GS Paper 1 under the topic of Geography. The Indian Meteorological Department says that the average maximum temperatures from April to June will be warmer by half a degree in central and northwest India. From the prelims point of view, from this article we should know about this Indian Meteorological Department, and also here there is a concept known as El Nino. First, let us look about this Indian Meteorological Department. This was formed in 1875 and this department is an agency of the Ministry of Earth Sciences of the Government of India, and it will provide current information and forecasting information for the most favorable operations of weather dependent activities like irrigation, agriculture, aviation, all this. And this is the principal agency that is responsible for this weather forecasting, and it will provide warnings against any severe weather phenomena like tropical cyclones, dust storms, heat waves, cold waves, heavy rains, all these. And it is headquartered at Pune and it operates the observation centers at various other places. And dear students, regarding this El Nino concept, in our core video, we have explained about this phenomena in detail in our 26th February core video, and it starts at 10 minutes 26 seconds. Please look into 26th February's core video for the detailed explanation of El Nino. The next article is Fugitive Economic Offenders Act won't help banks, says Malia. This article comes under GS Paper 3 under the topic of economy, and from the prelims point of view, the topic that is important from this article is Fugitive Economic Offenders Act. And this act defines who is a fugitive economic offender. A fugitive economic offender is a person on whom an arrest warrant is issued for involving in economic offences that are at least of 100 crore or more than that value, and if that person has left the country in order to escape the legal action, that person will be known as a fugitive economic offender. Now let us look into the procedure under this act. It is the Enforcement Directorate that functions under the Ministry of Finance, who will be the investigative agency under this act. And the investigating agencies will have to file an application in a special court under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act of 2002. And that application should contain the details of the properties that needs to be taken away and any information about the person's whereabouts, where he is, all that. And this special court will issue a notice for that person to appear at a specified place and date at least 6 weeks from the issue of the notice. From the date of issuing the notice, within 6 weeks, that person should appear before the special court. Once that person appears, the proceedings will be terminated under this act. If not, then the person will be declared as a fugitive economic offender based on the evidences that were filed by these investigative agencies. The person who is declared as an fugitive economic offender, he can challenge this proclamation in the High Court within 30 days of declaring him as a fugitive economic offender according to this Fugitive Economic Offenders Act of 2018. The next article is coronary stents to cost more. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of governance, and the subtopic here is issues related to health. The National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority has approved increase in price of the coronary stents. So from the prelims point of view, we should know about this National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. It is an independent body that works under the Department of Pharmaceuticals under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. And it is a government regulatory agency that was established to fix or revise the prices of controlled bulk drugs, and it will enforce the prices and also the availability of medicines in the country according to Drugs Pricing Control Order of 2013. And this authority will also advise the central government if there is any change in the drug pricing policy. And here I have said that it will fix and revise the prices for controlled bulk drugs. What about the drugs which were decontrolled? It will monitor the prices of decontrolled drugs in order to keep them at reasonable prices. The next article is ensuring access to justice. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of judiciary. This article says that the Supreme Court should reconsider setting up the benches in different states according to the recommendations of Law Commission. And from the prelims point of view, from this article we should know about what is this Article 30 and Legal Service Authority, and also about Law Commission. This Article 30 deals with the seat of Supreme Court. According to this Article 30, the Supreme Court should sit in Delhi or in a place where the Chief Justice of India with the approval of President should be there. And now let's look into about this Legal Service Authority. This is a statutory body that is constituted under Legal Services Authority Act of 1987 in order to provide free legal services to the poor and weaker sections of the society. By doing so, it fulfills the provisions under Article 39A of the Constitution, which provides free legal aid to the poor and weaker sections of the society in order to promote justice on the basis of equal opportunity. At the national level, there is National Legal Service Authority, and in every state there is a State Legal Service Authority in order to implement the policies and directions of National Legal Service Authority. And the Chief Justice of India will be the head of this NALSA, and at the state level it is headed by the Chief Justice of High Court of that particular state. Next, let us see about this Law Commission of India. Law Commission is neither a constitutional body nor a statutory body. It is just an ad hoc and advisory body whose work is to do research and make recommendations for law reforms like amendments and updations to the laws. But these advices are not binding on the government, and it is a convention that the retired judge of Supreme Court will head the India's Law Commission. India's first Law Commission was established in 1834 through a Charter Act of 1833 under the chairmanship of Lord Macaulay. And even the states can also constitute their own law commissions. The next article is Space for Campaign. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of polity. The Election Commission has ruled that the Prime Minister didn't violate the Model Code of Conduct in his nationally televised address while demonstrating India's capability to bring down an operational satellite using anti-satellite test. From the prelims point of view, here we should know what is meant by this Model Code of Conduct. These are the guidelines to conduct free and fair elections in the country issued by the Election Commission of India on what the political parties, candidates who are contesting and the parties in power should do and shouldn't do during the elections. These are the guidelines to guide them on what to be done and what not to be done during election, while giving speeches and while holding meetings and during poll day activities at the polling booths. These are nothing but a set of instructions how they should be. And this Model Code of Conduct will come into force immediately after the announcement of election schedule by the Election Commission of India, whereas it will come into force immediately in states when the legislative assemblies dissolve prematurely, and it will remain in force till the end of electoral process. The next article is Deepening Security. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of international relations and various international organizations. Indian Prime Minister has announced that India had carried a successful anti-satellite missile test known as Mission Shakti. And this article is saying that might lead to an arms race in the subcontinent. From the prelims point of view, from this article we should know about these terms: Mutually Assured Destruction Doctrine, Global Peace Index, International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, and War Resisters International. First of all, what is this Mutually Assured Destruction Doctrine? According to this doctrine, the states who were two rivals and these two countries were possessing nuclear weapons, but neither of them will use these nuclear weapons. That means this doctrine is preventing both sides from initiating a conflict. And the next thing is, what is this Global Peace Index? This index is released every year by the Sydney-based think tank Institute for Economics and Peace. And India is ranked at 136th position out of 163 countries in 2018. And this index uses 23 indicators to measure the state of peace using 3 areas. Those 3 are the level of societal safety and security in a country, and the extent of ongoing domestic and international conflict, and the degree of militarization. Based on these 3 areas, this Global Peace Index will be measured. Next, what is this ICAN? International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. This is launched in 2007, and this is a global civil society comprising 468 non-government organizations from around 100 countries that works to achieve a world without nuclear weapons. And in 2017, this ICAN has received a Nobel Peace Prize for proposing the end to use nuclear weapons through the United Nations Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. And the next thing is War Resisters International. This is an international anti-war organization, and this also works for a world without war. The next article is taking a cue from Japan. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of India and its neighborhood relations. From this article, from the prelims point of view, we should know about this Belt and Road Initiative, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and what is this G7. First, let us look into this China's Belt and Road Initiative. This is a Chinese foreign policy initiative that is promoted by the President Xi Jinping in 2013. Initially, the idea of Silk Road Economic Belt and Maritime Silk Road was put forward. Later, these two projects were combined and these two were known as One Belt, One Road Initiative. And now, again, it is being called as Belt and Road Initiative. China has even incorporated this Belt and Road Initiative into the Chinese constitution. The aim of this initiative is to build a trade, investment and infrastructure network to connect Asia with Europe and Africa along the ancient trade routes. Now let's look into a previous year prelims question. The first question is Belt and Road Initiative is sometimes mentioned in the news in the context of the affairs of, it is China. Answer is D. And the next thing is China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. This China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is a component of China's Belt and Road Initiative. So under this plan, China will invest in industrial power stations, roads and railways from Kashgar in China to Gadar port in Pakistan, and this is a 3000 kilometer long belt. Once this is done, then Pakistan will become a regional trade and energy hub, and Chinese goods can be easily sent to South, Central and West Asia, and even Chinese troops can be deployed towards the Middle East through this China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and Gadar port. The next thing is here G7. According to the International Monetary Fund, G7 is a group of 7 consisting of major advanced economies: Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK and United States. The world leaders from these 7 powerful economies of the world will discuss the burning issues that were happening around the globe in an event that is conducted annually, which is known as G7 Summit. And here they will discuss about it, and they will also form policies and find out the remedies for a concerned issue. The 44th annual G7 Summit was held in Canada. The next article is Dhimsa time. This article comes under GS paper 1 under the topic of culture, and the folk artists were performing Dhimsa dance at Araku in Visakhapatnam. Now let us look about this Dhimsa dance. This dance is popular among the tribes who are living in the Araku Valley region of Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. The basic features of this dance is, here this dance attempts to establish friendship between the neighboring villages. Here both men and women can participate in this dance, and this dance will be held during the months of March and April, and it is generally performed during the wedding occasions. And there are different types of this Dhimsa dance. These are all the different types of this Dhimsa dance. The next article is China locks horns with US over Masood Azhar. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of international relations, And from the prelims point of view, from this article, what is important is we should know about this UNSC 1267 Resolution Committee. In the recent video, that is on 30th March of 2019, we have discussed about this UNSC 1267 resolution in detail. And that video starts at 21 minutes 12 seconds. Please look into that video for this UNSC 1267 resolution. The next article is RBI tweaks NPA divergence disclosure rules. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. The Reserve Bank of India has tightened the non-performing assets norms and has asked the banks to reveal the details of the bad loans. And from this article, from the prelims point of view, we should know about what is a non-performing asset and what is this dollar-rupee buy-sell swap. Non-performing asset is any asset of a bank which is not producing any income. We know that loans are considered as assets for a bank because they will result in a return, that is in the form of interest. So if a loan is not repaid, even the capital or the interest rate for a period of 90 days and more, that particular loan will be considered as a non-performing asset. And next, let us see what is this dollar-rupee buy-sell swap. This is also known as Forex Swap. Under this, a bank will sell the US dollars it has to the Reserve Bank of India by agreeing that it will buy these US dollars back after 3 years. By doing so, this will inject rupees into the economy and it will put more money in the hands of banks who can lend to its customers. And this US dollar, which is mobilized through an auction, will also will increase the forex reserves of RBI. The next article is core sector growth quickens to 2.1% in February. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. The core sector growth has increased in February to 2.1% from 1.5% in January. From the prelims point of view, we should know about this core sectors. Core industry is the main industry. In many countries, there will be a particular industry which will act as a backbone for all other industries. Whereas in India, we have 8 such industries. They are the refinery products, electricity, steel, coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement and fertilizers. The monthly production volume of these 8 core industries will be measured by the index of core industries, and that index will be measured based on a base year of 2011-12. This index will measure the collective as well as individual performance of these 8 core industries, and that index will be compiled and released by the Office of Economic Advisor in the Department of Promotion for Industry and Internal Trade under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Now let us look into some of the previous year's prelims questions regarding this core sectors topic. In India, in the overall index of industrial production, the indices of 8 core industries have a combined weight of 37.9%. Which of the following are among those 8 core industries? Dear students, this question was asked in 2012. At that time, they comprised 37.9% of this index of industrial production. But at present, it is 40.27% of IAP. So just now we have seen what are all the 8 core sectors. Cement, fertilizers, natural gas, refinery products, textiles. Textiles is not a core sector. So the answer here is C. 1, 2, 3 and 4 only. The next question is, in the index of 8 core industries, which one of the following is given the highest weight? This question was asked in 2015. At that time, it is the electricity. But now, the highest weight is given to refinery products. This is all for today and see you all tomorrow. Thank you.